Tous ces coureurs qui ont fait ce long voyage pour venir courir la fameuse 52e édition de Sierre-Zinal. À 3 minutes et demie, 3 minutes and a half. Be ready, go smash it!
Be careful, 3 minutes before the start. 3 minutes avant le départ.
Les meilleurs coureurs du monde sont présents pour être reconnus comme fous.
Pistolet, 2 Minuten vor dem Start.
Legendary race of the 4,000 giants.
On voit les favoris aux avant-postes.
Quelqu'un qui paraissait bien ça.
La pression qui monte. Une minute.
Secondes, 40 secondes. Sierre-Zinal, la course des 5-4000 catégories des coureurs invités, des élites, des coureurs ici et maintenant. 20 secondes, 20 secondes. 15. 10 secondes, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, et c'est parti, Sierre-Zinal, la course des 5-4000.
Sierre-Zinal, the oldest race in our circuit, the 53rd edition. They're starting the climb. It's 31 kilometers with over 2,000 meters of elevation. Significantly though, there's only 1,000 meters of descent, and this race starts with an over 1,000 meter climb. It is absolutely brutal. If you look outside, you can see the weather. Sierre is already up to 28 degrees, and these athletes have been sat on buses for the last 45 minutes. So if you've not prepared for this race properly and hydrated for this past hour, already that you are a ticking time bomb with the climb that is about to happen. Now we can see at the front here the yellow, I believe, of Team Run Together. It's likely that Filimon Kiriago, I think, is at the front there with Patrick Kiriago on his shoulder. Filimon won here 2 years ago. For me, he is by far the biggest race favourite. He wants this race. He's perfectly suited to this race, but he's not the best climber in the field. Last year, he clawed back over 3 minutes on the greatest runner on this course, Kilian, and he'll know today that he's going to have to do something similar because there are some very fast climbers in this field. Now, the Golden Trail brings together the 8 most exciting and epic trail races from around the world. This is the last chance for our athletes to be able to qualify. 3 of your top performances count towards the final, and currently we have El Hussein sat on maximum points. But he's racing today to defend his position, and as someone who has been based in Switzerland for a significant period of their career, this is the race that has eluded him. So he is not only trying to stop Filimon and Patrick from scoring here maximum points to join him going into the final in a good position, but this is the race that has eluded him for so long. His best ever performance here, 40th. That's how badly he's got this course wrong. He has grown in these last few years in his performance, understanding his nutrition, understanding his pacing, but it really has eluded him so far. And so the question today is, can El Hussein bring it together? Will Patrick Kiriago, Kipangino be able to build a big enough lead to hold off the champion of 2 years ago, Filimon Kiriago? Now let's look at this course. 2,200 meters up. What it doesn't tell you is only 1,100 meters down. We've had a quick sprint across the motorway, but they now start climbing, and this is brutal. 7 kilometers with 1,300 meters of climbing. In the heat as well. They've been baking already on the bus over there. They're in the woods, and this is where a lot of athletes go wrong. They pop out at Ponchette and they think, now is the time for me to start running. But look at these inclines. It's only 200 meters, but it feels as if you're on the road, you're on the flat, and so a lot of athletes will go out way too hard here. And the challenge of this race is, how do you maintain your speed without blowing up at the end? We get to 15 kilometers and you're well over halfway in terms of time because of how much effort that climb has taken out of you. And the run to Hotel Weisshorn is where we then, for me, start this race. Those last 6K to Barnusa before the very sharp descent is where we typically have seen our leaders fall apart in previous races. And we're going to talk about the pacing strategies of some of our athletes to come, but it's a very sharp downhill. It says 0 meters of climbing. That's because it's all sharp descent, some of it on road, some of it technical, and being able to master those, it's very important. We've seen So many people who are in line to win this race fall apart in those last 5 kilometers. So this is truly going to be a race where to win this, you need speed, you need pacing, and more than anything else, you need to know how to manage yourself on a course like this. But we're at the front of the race now, and it's Filimon Kiriago leading out here in the yellow and the white of Team Run Together on AG. This is a significant play from him, and it shows he's full of confidence. He is the form athlete on this course, but he's not known as being the best climber in our front group. Runners like Zinalrothorn, who I suspect is tucked behind from Morocco, an exceptionally good climber, but on his shoulder, just waiting for confirmation, that's Patrick Kipagino, who is the vertical kilometer world champion. In fact, this doesn't look like the running style to me of Patrick. I'm just waiting for confirmation of who this is, because the picture isn't quite good enough for me currently. If we think back to last year, we actually had a completely different runner leading the field up the climb, and we often see that with Sierre-Zinal. Sierre-Zinal is known as the, and it's again Josvat Kiprotich. He led out here last year. He ended up collapsing in that last third and finishing in 4th place overall. But Sierre-Zinal is known as the race where road meets trail, and that's because a lot of fast runners can come into the trail world, and this is the race that allows them to actually test whether or not they'll be able to deliver in trail, because it's such a fast course that does favor slightly the road runner, that it means that if you come in here with a good marathon time, there's a chance you might be able to actually win a trail race. Now, Josvat Kiprotich, he hasn't featured in our season yet so far. He's not known as being one of the stronger trail runners, but he's a very good climber indeed. And last year, he was leading all the way up until Hotel Weisshorn, when Kylian Jornet, who's won here 10 times before, caught him. Significantly, if we look over the shoulder, though, we've mentioned Filimon is there, but also Dent Blanche from Spain is tucked in behind, which is a big surprise for me. He is a Spanish orienteer who's turned to track. He won here 3 years ago, but he was nowhere near the front on the first climb. So the fact he's so high up to me suggests he knows he needs to improve that section of his race to stand a chance of winning today. Still waiting for confirmation that that is in fact Dent Blanche in 3rd place. He has a 2:09 marathon time. We saw him go out extremely quickly in Zagama earlier this season. He has been focusing more on his climbing skills because he knows he's very quick across the top. It does look like Dent Blanche to me is that running form, the slightly taller athlete, but it doesn't look like the red and orange strip I'd expect for him. So I'm just waiting for confirmation of who that 3rd runner is. And that is certainly not someone I was expecting. Just checking who that 3rd runner is now for you.
Late arrival, a bit like your Formula One car just stalling on the grid with the technical issues appearing in the early stages. But race underway, and in terms of the heat, David, who does it suit? Which of the athletes can cope with this sort of heat and this sort of humidity?
I've got to say that there aren't many names that spring to the front of mind as people who are typically used to this. We often think of Kenyan runners and even El Hassine in Morocco as being people who can deal with heat because Africa is seen as a hot continent, but actually places like Iten, the temperature tends to be around 15 degrees, and it's the humidity that really undoes athletes here, because Elyssine, again, from Morocco, lives in the desert. He's a Berber, but it's the humidity that he can't train for in those conditions. So I suspect it's likely to be our female runners who adapt more to the heat. Dent Blanche from Spain, he's raced here before, he's finished well here before. He'd be the runner I suspect will be most able to respond to this.
Yeah, Blanche wearing bib number 3 today. And
there's El Hussein.
Elyssine going through. Same old trick, just sticking in behind. And I think as the race goes on, he'll draw front. Everyone knows how Elyssine runs his races. They've just got to work out how to beat him, and at the moment it seems the only way is to have an exceptionally fast sprint over the last kilometers.
When I'm filming the athletes, you just live in that moment. There's nothing else that matters. I'm Sierre-Zinal, a Golden Trail World Series camera runner. We film with the stabilizer and the camera, and which is about 2-3 kilos. Then we need to run with the athletes in a high intensity during a long time, and this is not easy. When we are filming, we are not looking all the time at the camera because we are focusing in where we stay. But it's true that when it's possible, we check the camera to make sure that the athlete is framed. We cannot fail. The athletes are there to race, not in a shooting. If you miss it, they are not gonna stop. Of course, there's tension and stress, but we love it because we are camera runners and we are running with the best runners in the world.
Well, here you see the profile of the course starting in Sierra, one of the rare races that actually starts a lot lower than it finishes. And it's really that first, 19 kilometers that decides where the top prizes are going to go. Up to Ponchette at 1870 meters, Chandelin at 12 kilometers the next. And although it looks relatively flat on that section, there's absolutely no doubt that as the air gets thinner, the work gets harder and harder. And throughout the race, the series this year, I don't think we've ever heard or had such good audio of the breathing rates of the athletes. You can tell just how hard they're working.
Yeah, it's a brutally hard start to this race, and we see Caroline Kimatai here at the front already, and she is on the shoulder of Joylene. So the two teammates of Millimani runners, Joylene won here last year, and no surprises, they're working together. And in fact, in the commentary last year, we didn't know Joylene was leading for some time because the camera runners, she was so fast out that they got ahead of them, and she was ahead of Scout Aking, who they were following. But these two, known for their pace, Joylene has been focused specifically on Sierre-Zinal. She's mentioned the fact that she wants to break the course record. She's got that in mind. She'd need to improve by about 6 minutes on last year, which is a big ask. And the fact she's got that as her target could potentially be her undoing, because this is a very hard race to attack early.
Yeah, course records incidentally. Kylian Jornet, you won't be surprised to hear that. 2:25.35 his time. He did that back in 2019. And he's a man who's won this race on 10 occasions. He's been the dominant force. And of course, the Kenyans with one victory. And Great Britain, if you go back, what, Phil Makepeace won it in 1986. Jack Maitland won it the year before that. Jack Maitland, great runner from the Lake District. And of course, Billy Burns, last of the British athletes to win this race. I don't think they've got much chance this year.
Yeah, for Britain, probably the highest contender would be Nurmi Lang in the women's, but this must be frustrating now for our female athletes, having to constantly be trying to navigate through the men's pack. And this is where experience and a cool head can be useful, because you can end up spending quite a lot of extra energy trying to shuffle through.
Interesting though. Talk about shuffling. There's the power walking and the running. Where do you stand on that? Which do you feel is the most?
Je viens de lâcher la première femme. Je vais essayer de prendre la troisième.
Definitely need to be able to power walk at times on a course like this, and we've seen with Caroline Kibitai last weekend when she was running with Nurmi Lang towards the top of the trail. Caroline wasn't as prepared to start power hiking, and we've often seen with newer, particularly the Kenyan trail runners, they're so used to having to, they have in their heads that you always run, and actually on some of these trails where you can see how uneven it is underfoot, trying to run on these with such a small stride length, unless it's something you've really trained at, it can be faster to just power hike.
Well, there's Filimon Kiriago, and looking pretty fluent. His stride certainly longer than most, maybe just a slight easing of the gradient on this section. And Kiriago well placed in the standings. He's third in the overall standings with what's he had? 5 races he's done so far this year. He's been on the podium on every occasion. He got the win in Italy in Noli, and what's he had? 3 second places, 1 third, and a win today would certainly put him in a fantastic position to win the overall tour.
It's your 3 highest scoring races that count. If he wins today, he'll come into 2nd place overall, joint with his teammate Patrick Kipangino. But significant gaps now opening up, which isn't a surprise. We know Filimon isn't the best climber, but significantly he's in 3rd. We can't see Adrien behind him.
Je me fais lâcher.
Which to me suggests Adrien is now starting to pace very differently to how he's raced this this course in previous years. He's clearly learning, or has a little bit of fear of what that first third of the course can take. We've seen prior to 2025, people like Remy Bonnet go out extremely quickly, even Kylian go out quickly, and Adrien has always tried to pace himself off the leader, but it does seem that this year he's learned that on a course like this, he doesn't need to be leading until that final third, where his devastating finish pace can get him the win. Now here's a recap of our series so far in Kobe, Japan. It was the climbers that won, Patrick Kipangino and Sara Alonso. Caroline Kibitai, who's leading our race currently, she was showed her trails, debuted in China, winning alongside Patrick. Then to Noli, the race where Filimon finally beat Adrien in the sprint finish. And Madalena Florea broke Filari's Kisang on the final climb to win her first race in 2 years. Then to Zagama, the crazy crowds. And Andrew Blanes, who we have spoken about already, led out, but it was El Hussein who took his first win of the season. Sara Alonso pushing home for her first win in Zagama, where she is from. On to America. Battles back and forth. Last year's series champion Joyce Njiru, the fastest descender. El Hussein again dropping a speed bomb on Filimon to win this race. And then on to Mexico, the Tepec Trail. We saw our three amigos all together, and again El Hussein broke away at the end. But Lauren Gregory from America, in third for the majority of this race, paced it to perfection to win her first Golden Trail. And then last week, the rain set in Austria. Caroline and Naomi Lang locked in battle until the British Trail running champ showed you how to run downhill in the wet. And Timothy Cobbett, never on the podium from Millimani Runners, winning there today. But we are currently behind, this is our third place female runner, I believe.
Yeah, it's hot today.
And you can hear the interactions between our team. In fact, this is Monica Faria, who we are tracking at the moment. Wasn't sure if she was going to be running today. She's had a few health issues this last week and suggested that she wasn't feeling that positive about racing. But this is actually the race which welcomed her to the world. 2 years ago, she led out this climb, an unknown. And so this does have a strong place in her heart. But we had a glimpse of the front of the men's there. That was Josephat leading again, and on his shoulder, Adrien Brifford, a triathlete who, while he's fast, looking at his times, he's got 10K pace, 29:38, 5K, 14:27. That's good, but it's not really at the level of our other runners. So I have a fear that he maybe has gone out a little bit too fast today, because if you look at runners like El Hussein, they're running the kind of low 28-minute 10Ks. And we know Josephat's come undone by going out too fast today. So be interesting to see how long these two can hold this pace for. Now, that's one of the reasons why people love Sierre-Zinal, is it allows new runners to have this taste of what trail running can be. And if you look at the trail underfoot, it's not a particularly technical course. And so you can turn up here with road shoes and still do well. You don't need to be able to navigate, unlike last week, and understand how to run on difficult terrain. But this is Maud Mathis, course record holder in our sights. She's won here 4 times before. For me, the greatest ever Golden Trail champion. She knows how to pace this course extremely well. She is from Switzerland. But unfortunately for her, she did have a cycling accident about 5 weeks ago. She's only had about 10 days of running training coming into this. So while she is looking good now, I don't think she's coming into this race expecting to be able to give a good performance. But this is why I'm so impressed with someone like Maud Mathis. She will turn up to a race even if she knows she doesn't think she can win. But we're going to hear from her about her experience setting the course record in the past. 2:49 was her time here last year. An unbelievable performance. For reference, Julien Cepagino, 2:53, 4 minutes down on that course record last year. I think what's most significant about the way Maud raced that is that compared to the other top 10 performers of all time on this course, she managed to pace it to perfection. She didn't seem to slow down at any point, and if we look at the gap she has over the fastest times here, second was Sophia Lockley 2 years ago, 2:53. Maud built a lead at every single checkpoint through this race. In fact, it's only downhill specialists such as Judith Weider who've made any dent on her at any part of this course. Now, if you want to get deep into the stats, Gabriel Weider, husband of Judith Weider, he's got a fantastic blog where he has mapped all of the top 10 performances, men and women, at the different sections to give you an insight into how to pace this, but also who's done well and who's come undone on this course. Now, to the right of our screens, Caroline Kimatai, by herself. We saw early on Julien Cepagino was leading the charge, and Caroline has clearly decided she feels better and has stepped in front. We did see that in China. Caroline was the faster runner when it came to smooth and climbs, not so much on the stomping ground. She's not quite as good on the downhill from what we can tell, but clearly feeling the better runner today. You can see she's got a bottle of nutrition in her hand. She's got a bottle of water there. That will be very important to ensure that she doesn't overheat on this course. We saw her last week leading up the trail in Austria and actually took the lead off Noemi Lang across the top, but in the wet and the mud, really didn't have the experience to know how to run down that trail, and just got to head down, really stopped attacking her running, and when she was coming down those hills, her stride length was so short, potentially the wrong trainers, potentially because she just was so unconfident about not falling over. But actually that might have saved her legs compared to our other runners who have done both last week's race and this week's race, because she won't have been putting quite as much impact through her quads. And we're here with the men's leaders on our right, Adrien Brifford and Filimon Kiriego. Now, Caroline has only raced 2 races in the Golden Trail this year, struggled with visas to travel to America, and so isn't currently in our top 10 standings in the overall. Just doing some approximate calculations. If she was to win today, that would jump her up into 3rd place in the overall series. 30 points down on Madalena Floria. So very significant for the overall series. We head to Italy for our finals. There is a prologue race worth 100 points and the final worth 300. Each race in the season is only worth 200 points. So if Caroline can win this race today, she could go to our finals with a very good chance of winning the overall series.
Filtré, je lâche.
We often see a lot of Swiss runners arriving at this race. They know the course, they know the area, and indeed that's what's happening today. Adrien Brifford, a Swiss triathlete, he's come third in the European Championships, so a very good pedigree of triathlon. Just checking which distances he's used to. In terms of his track times, they tend to be more 10Ks, 5Ks. So maybe not quite as experienced at these longer distances. And if you think of this course as being, it's 31K, but the finish time of the runners, our men will be around the 2:25 ideally through to the kind of 2:40 mark, which will be significantly slower than their marathon times. On screen now, this looks to me like Christian Allen. In fact, no, this is currently on screen Jonathan Camillo from Colombia. Just checking if that number actually tracks, because it does look like Christian Allen to me. In fact, it is Christian Allen. Christian Allen, another one of our runners who has switched from a very fast track background, switching around. And this is Kilian Jornet, the course record holder. Breaking his own record by only 2 seconds last year. And this is the moment, and Filimon had caught him across the top from Hotel Weisshorn. It was only on the technical descent that Kilian managed to get away. Look how close this finish was. Pushed all the way to the line. Kilian, though, has won here 10 times in 13 attempts. One of those attempts, when he came fourth, he had COVID. This is how dominant he has been at this race. And a lot of people know Kilian Jornet for his ultra performances, winning at UTMB aged 18. He's known for these 100-milers, and most recently, he's been doing multi-day adventures across the Pyrenees. I think he's planning on doing a similar one in America, but people outside of Europe don't necessarily know how dominant he's been at these sub-ultra distances. Now, I mentioned the top 10 overall. Madalena here today. Joyce also running, looking to improve her score, but significantly in this top 10 is who is not in here. Giuliana Cipollino yet to break into the top 10. She only has 1 race under her belt. Caroline Kimatai also only on 2 races, so a big result here today will see her into the top 10. And Filimon and Patrick both racing, hoping to be able to score big. If Patrick wins today, he'll join El Hussein on maximum points. If Filimon wins, he'll join Patrick in second place. Behind them, no real big movers and shakers in that top 10. Other than maybe the Millimani runners who ran well last weekend. Timothy Kibet, if he can do well here today, he'll jump up into our top 10 as well. But on screen now, Caroline Kimatai from Kenya. Her debut here looking very comfortable. Now, one of the challenges with this race is getting your nutrition right. Even though you're starting at 500, 600 meters, and you can see the climb here, you climb so quickly that you get to 1,700 meters where you can start to dehydrate at a high level. But a lot of our athletes forget that they've been staying in Zinal for 3 or 4 days at the finish line. And during that time, they would have slowly dehydrated. And on this climb, you don't really get a huge chance. You don't think about your nutrition so much. Because you're in the trees, you're not feeling the direct sunlight. And so time and time again, we've seen runners come here. They've had a 45, 50-minute coach ride in the baking sun. The start of this race was 27 degrees or so. And then you're in the woods, not really thinking about taking on enough nutrition. When they pop out at Ponchette, they're suddenly hit with the raw heat and the slight altitude. And in their heads, they think now is the time to start running, because it feels as if you're running flat. And so if you haven't got your nutrition dialed in this first third of the race, you don't realize until you hit that heat that it's too late. There aren't enough aid stations on the course with your nutrition for you to be able to refuel properly. So the fact that she's running with a bottle today is a really good sign that she hopefully has been prepped on this course. She's hopefully, Julian, her coach, has hopefully given her a good insight into what to expect. Now, we talked a little bit about Kilian's record, 2:25:34. Kilian is an extremely fast downhill runner. In fact, he's good overall. But on a course like this, he isn't necessarily the best climber compared to some of our road runners. But it's only been when he's had either the pressure of the record or the pressure of Filimon where we've seen him significantly improve on his downhill performance in that last 5K. So if you're going for the course record that Caroline might have a chance to today, it really helps to have someone on your shoulder. Because if we look at Kilian's 2 fastest finishes, it's been these last 5 years, when he was going for the course record and when he knew Filimon was tracking him down.
Continue. Allez, bon courage, mec.
We should be getting our first race splits fairly soon at Beauregard to be able to see how our runners are comparing to previous years. And we can see here Caroline's gone through our first checkpoint, climbing up to Ponchette. Ponchette, as you can see here, this is where the trail really opens out. You can see the green grass they're running on. They often do run on across fields. This is last year's winner, Adrien. She went out hard on that first climb, and she was really untouchable for the whole of this race. Won by a massive margin. And before this moment, she had never raced a trail race anywhere in the world. She trained in Kenya, but she'd not even raced a trail race in Kenya. And in terms of the impact that this race can have, Adrien is a mother of 2 children. She has used that money to invest in her family, and she came here knowing that this was her route out into a different way of life. If you don't recall the commentary from last year, she has a tremendous story, an incredible story. She's a very good runner when she was at school. And in fact, a lot of her classmates went on to Olympic success. Faith Kipyegon, the 3x 1500 meter Olympic gold medalist, was her classmate. And but she then had a family, settled down, and it wasn't until that her partner and her split up that she then had to provide for her children by herself. She was selling clothes door to door, and she looked at her friends from school and thought, I used to be running with these athletes. Maybe I can do it again. Got into training by running 40K a day for an entire year. I'm going to repeat that. Started training by running 40K a day for an entire year. Don't do that at home if you want to get into trail and get faster. But then lost a huge amount of weight and got race fit and came to Sierre-Zinal and won. An incredible performance. Now Lauren, another runner new to the Golden Trail. Her background is more half marathon, so we know that she's got pace. In fact, she won bronze in the women's marathon in 2017 at the German Athletics Championships. She has a marathon time of 2:24. Wow, that is rapid. Running that in Valencia in 2023. And this is one of the challenges of a race like this. If you are so fast, do you use your speed in the first third of the race when it feels easy? And significantly, Adrien Brifford has now moved to the front of the race, dropping Josephat Kiprotich. So two relatively local runners, Adrien Brifford and Laura Hottenrott, running here for the first time, as far as I can tell, currently putting in some very strong performances. Now, as you can see here, as they come through Ponchette, this is where the trail opens up. And there's a lot of false flats in there. It feels like you're running on a fairly flat surface, but you're actually still climbing slightly. And there's rolling hills across the top. It can be quite hard to get your pace. If you're not aware of this course, you'll be looking at your watch, tracking your pace, thinking, I should be running faster on this on the flat. And it can drag you into a slightly quicker pace than you need. If you are starting too fast in a race like this, and I suspect Adrien is, you're burning glycogen and carbohydrates at a higher percentage rate than if you're running at a pace you can handle. at altitude as well, while this isn't significantly high, you know, reaching up to 1,700 meters, you do also struggle to burn fat compared to at lower elevations. And so combining the two of those together, you do end up digging into those glycogen stores in your muscles. And a race that's over 2 hours long, your body typically has around 70 minutes to race flat out, depending on how you've trained glycogen stores. So if you're not fueling properly, and if you're going out even a few seconds per mile faster than your pace should be, it can really catch up to you at the end of the race.
Le cadrage, c'est OK? Tu mets 5?
Sierre-Zinal is the oldest race in our series, 53 years old now. It's known as the race of five, the 4,000ers. Weisshorn, Zinalrothorn, Obergabelhorn, Dent Blanche, and the Matterhorn, which we will see in the distance overlooking this race. One of the moments that, if you're running this for the first time, they'll always remember when they come out here onto Ponchette and they look to the right, the valley opens up, and thank you, camera producer, opens up to this beautiful scene of the valley. You can see it there. The bakingly hot valley, significantly. And we're with our saying second place female. I suspect Laura's still in third. I'd be surprised if she's caught Joylene, unless Joylene has had a serious problem.
Up.
Now, this is the beginning of the end of the significant climbing. On our left, Adrien Brifford, that looked like Josfat Kiprotich on the right. And this is very typical of the trail across the top here. First chance to refuel. Let's see what he does. He's tipped water on himself. It didn't look like he was taking on additional nutrition. I didn't see a handoff. And that bottle's looking very low already. Could this be a mistake from our Swiss runner? One of the challenges of being new to the course is that you're not necessarily known by the local organisers who take your nutrition for you to the aid stations and hand it out to you. So there is a chance that Adrien is having to rely on him just by himself to refuel at these aid stations. And when you're in the lead, you don't want to slow down. And we're getting our race splits now. And the front of our men's is not as close as you'd suspect at this stage. Adrien Brifford with a 1:20 lead. 1:20, that is a massive lead for this stage of the race. And that is not a good thing for him. That is not a good thing. Now we are looking at, on the left of our screen, that is Filimon Kiriego running through. At the last checkpoint, he was in 4th place. Timothy Cabet on the back here, a very good downhill runner from Millimani Runners. And I believe that might be Dominic Rowe, who is the Swiss Salomon athletes. Great performance, top 10 last week, who is up with them. Filimon is in 3rd place currently, so this is not the chasing pack. Josvat Kiprotich is around 20 seconds ahead of them, and already you can see the difference that ending that steep climb has made. Filimon is already on the hunt. Look at that turn of pace from him, incredible. And this is now our 2nd place woman. I'm still want to get confirmation of that, because if she's in 2nd now, it suggests she's overtaken Joylene Chipangino. She may well have done, but I just want to get absolute confirmation from the chip chimers first. And we're now with Josvat Kiprotich on screen, leader of last year's Sierre-Zinal. 1 minute and 20 down on Adrien Brifford. That is a significant amount at this stage. Now, to give you a sense of how these times compared to previous races. Through the first checkpoint, when they came through Ponchette, Adrien Brifford was leading in 49 minutes. That's around 2 minutes down from when Kylian Jornet came through this stage in his record-breaking year of 2019. The fastest time, actually, over that section was by Kylian. So while Adrien is a minute and 20 ahead, would suggest he's gone out too fast. Actually, in terms of his time, this looks like a pace that has been managed before. In terms of Filimon compared to previous years, when Filimon won in 2024, he came through this checkpoint in a time of 50:42, and this year he's come through in 50:43. So Filimon matching his pace of, in fact, matching his pace of last year, which would suggest he's pacing extremely well at this stage of the race. We're just waiting for confirmation of the women's times as well. It wouldn't surprise me if Filimon is seeing Josvat fairly soon as well. And there's the overtake. Now, if you're wondering where our other race favourites are, Andre Blanes here in the red. The Spanish orienteer turned track athlete, turned 2:09 marathon runner, turned trail runner. He'll throw his hand at everything. So in terms of our other positions, our other race favourites in 6th place, Patrick Ibangine came through in 51:01. The strongest climber on his day on this course, so clearly not in the form he showed earlier this season or indeed previous seasons. On his shoulder, Elisine Alazoui, 51:03. So Elisine is around only 20 seconds behind Filimon when he started to push the pace. So actually Ellacine in a very strong position still. If we think back to Mexico, to Peck Trail, Filimon went out extremely quickly and was caught at the halfway stage. So it could be a similar story today. And Dent Blanche on our screen currently. Adrien currently down in 14th place, 52.50. So almost 4 minutes off the lead. But if we're assuming that Filimon is our likely race favourite, 2 minutes down. 2 minutes down at this stage. But strangely, for a Swiss race, Sierre-Zinal can actually be such a high-pressured race for local runners that it can be their undoing. If we look back over the last 5 years, as significant as the wins has been the fact that Remy Bonnet, winner of our series 2 years ago, this has been the race that has always eluded him. And Ellacine, who, when he moved from Morocco to Europe to train, he moved to Switzerland. This was his home for many years. He sees this as his kind of European hub. But in previous races, he has never done better than 40th overall. He's had 2 races he didn't finish, and indeed, he finished 1 race outside the top 100. That's how much he struggled with the heat here. Caroline Kimitai coming through our first proper aid station, taking on lots of nutrition there. You can see that is the way to manage yourself. And one of the coaches there, if we compare this to how Adrien came through, our 2 race leaders, Caroline took a sponge, she took some water, and then at the end of the tunnel, once she'd already consumed those, cooled down a bit, her team were there to give her a new bottle. There you go, in her left hand, a completely full bottle of nutrition. Adrien came through, tipped some water over himself, but didn't take on any liquid as far as I could see. It's a significant difference in their approach, and I think that really is going to put her in a good position toward the end of this race. And you can see the beautiful valley here of Sierre as they start and climb all the way up to Zinal, our finish line. One of the great aspects of Sierre-Zinal is that the course has never changed, which means we can compare the performances of every year there's been. But if you're just joining us now, here is a race recap of Sierre-Zinal. You can see the mixed start, and they started in Sierre in the heat, 28 degrees. And as they started to climb this 1 kilometer beginning initial climb, it was Josvat Kiprotich leading out last year, leading out this year, but new arrival, Adrien Brifford on his shoulder, and Caroline Kimitai, she was running with compatriot and teammate, last year's winner, Julian Cipangino, up the first climb, but then stretched away as the climbing intensified. And they've just come through our first aid station. Coming through Ponchette. As you can see, Caroline taking on not just water, but an entire new bottle of nutrition, essential for this race. There's still a fair bit of climbing to go, all the way through to Hotel Weisshorn. They're at about 1,800 meters of elevation now, about 500, 600 meters of climbing still to go. These are very deceptive trails. As you can see here, it feels like you're running on a road. It looks like at times you're running on a very easy path, but you're still climbing. It's very, very hard if you're tired. What my French commentator Martin Gafouri calls douche miles. And we're starting to get some splits from our ladies race as well. And as I suspected, Adrien Chipengino still in second place. So our leader, Caroline Kimitai, came through 58.14. A big lead as well, 92nd, 1 minute and 30 seconds up on Adrien Chipengino in second place. The Millimani runners know each other extremely well. Around 10 seconds down on her, Laura Hottenrott, the half marathon runner from Germany. She'll still have Adrien in her sights. She'll know how she's pacing. And wow, in fourth place, Maud Mathis, 4 times winner, Golden Trail former champion, course record holder, is around 2 minutes down in this stage. Incredible given how injury ravaged her last 2 years have been. And in 5th place on her shoulder, Madalina Florea from Romania. Looks like they're running together. She's leading our series. That looks like Roberto De Lorenzi there, overtaking Caroline Kimitai. And Yao Miao from China, currently in 6th, the OCC champion, 4th here in the past. We know she's got ultra legs. So an exciting field in our women's. For me, Maud, Madalina, Miao Yao, 4th through to 6th, all runners who've raced here, who know how to pace this well. So while we have some very fast performances at the front, this field is stacked behind them, ready to attack over the top and in those descents towards the end of our race. But we're here now with Filimon Kiriego, winner 2 years ago. 2nd place by 1 second last year. Still my favorite to win today's race. We're going to catch up with him now.
When I interacted with the bigger runners, they told me, even if you are the world champion, without winning Sierre-Zinal, you cannot be recognized. So, each of us, our target and our dream, we have worked for it, is to win Sierre-Zinal.
Congratulations, Filimon Ombogo. You're the first Kenyan winner of Sierre-Zinal, the 50th year.
To win Sierre-Zinal, it's maybe one of the biggest achievements a trail runner can do.
Sierre-Zinal, I can describe that it's a different world. My name is Filimon Kiriego from Kenya. So my target is to go back to Sierre-Zinal to show my victory again. What will matter on that day? What you have done, what you have in your dream, and what you have worked for. When you have a big dream, you should work on it. You cannot sleep waiting the dream to appear when you are not working on it.
A little bit of insight into what is driving Filimon Kiriego on this course. He wants to win here again at Sierre-Zinal. 2 years ago when he won, it was his 21st birthday. What a present that was for him. And in fact, 2 years ago when he won, it was his teammate Patrick Chipengino leading. And as they passed, they gave each other a little high five. almost the first time that Filimon had ever beaten Patrick on a race at this scale. That moment was a significant one, almost handing over the mantles to say, go get it. And I believe Filimon feels he's destined to win here again today. Michael Cioli on screen here, another good runner from Kenya. Christian Allen on his shoulder. We saw Michael have some very close battles in his previous races, just losing out last week on a sprint finish for third and fourth. And just behind them, I think that looked like Timothy Kibet, last week's winner. Now, if you think that the leaders have significant leads and that this race is over, believe me, nothing could be further from the truth. We've seen in previous years, Adrien Blanche wasn't even in the top 10 when we're at this stage of the race and won the overall race. That's how much of a difference pacing and speed across this top can make. But we're currently tracking Adrien Brifford on his debut. But this race is just about to erupt. Some beautiful slow-mo shots from our film team here. If you're wondering how this is filmed, it's a combination of camera runners and cyclists. We've had the Olympic gold medalist at the mountain bike as one of our cyclists previously. The runners themselves tend to be high-level orienteers because they need to be able to navigate while they're still managing their camera with a heavy weight on their back. So some world-class athletes, not just on display in the field, but actually behind the camera. Now here's some race stats for you. Adrien Blanche, who we've mentioned, 2:09 marathon runner. In 2022, he was in 22nd position at Ponchette. That was the last checkpoint we went through. 22nd position. And he won overall. Last year, Filimon Kiriego was 3 minutes down on Kylian Jornet and managed to catch that back across the top. That's how significant pacing, nutrition, and the change of terrain is over this course. But we're here with our chasing group now. Filimon Kiriego on the left of our screen. In fact, Timothy Kibet is on his shoulder. Timothy Kibet, last week's winner from Milimani Runners. This is a surprise for me. I thought he'd be tired. Clearly not. Significantly, Filimon did not race last week. His focus was Sierre-Zinal. And similarly in the women's, Adrien did not race last week. They both knew how tired a trail race so technical could be. And the fact it was so short doesn't necessarily mean that you're less tired. It means you have to run it faster, which puts more impact through your legs on those downhills. But Timothy Kibet, last week's winner, in second place. It's a head-to-head. Milimani Runners against Run Together, the two dominant teams in world trail running from Kenya. Milimani Runners against Run Together. We've not seen a head-to-head like this before, one-on-one. We're here with our second and third males. Still no sight of Adrien Brifford. He is that far ahead of them at this stage. An incredible performance so far. In fact, through the second checkpoint, they've come through Chandelin now. Adrien through, the Swiss triathlete in 1:07.59. A minute and 20 seconds back is this chase group. So significantly, they've only clawed back around 20 seconds. Given the step change in Filimon as he came out of Ponchette, Adrien still pushing the pace across this top. An incredible performance so far. About 20 seconds back behind our cyclist is Dominic Rolli. Great run from him, the Salomon athlete from Switzerland as well. So at the moment, our top 5 is dominated by Kenya and Switzerland. Are there many other sports in the world where they're the powerhouses? Great to see. And we're here with Dominic Roll in 4th place. A really good run from him. He was racing last week as well, top 10 performance there. And he went out similarly hard last week. He has a 1:03 half marathon time in Copenhagen. And there are only 5 Swiss athletes who are faster than Dominic has been before the age of 25. This will be, you know, for a lot of these athletes, 30K is around, it's some of the longest runs they'll do in their season. Particularly a lot of the Kenyan athletes don't necessarily, they're not drawn up to marathons in the same way that Europe and America tends to be more focused on those because of the prominence of races like New York and London. And so Dominic Rowley, we had on screen there, he's got a marathon time of 2:14. You know, it's good, it's fast, not the fastest marathon time on the course, but shows that he's clearly got stamina and speed to be able to run a race of around 2 hours 25, 2 hours 30, and to be able to manage himself over that distance and that time. But we're on screen now with Adrien Brifford on his debut here at Sierre-Zinal. So far, looking very, very strong. In fact, Adrien raced in the Summer Olympics in the triathlon in 2024, an Olympian last year, similar to Dent Blanche as well. Fellow Olympians on the course. Now, if you're wondering how to train for a race like this, where there's so much climbing to begin with, and then you're required to be so fast, one of the training methodologies that Kylian Jornet, 10 times winner here, trialed was what they called the VK 10K, where you run a VK, a vertical kilometer, you climb 1,000 meters as fast as you can, and then you do a flat out 10K afterwards. Extremely hard to do. Remy Bonnet tried this 2 years ago. It was the race he wanted and still wants above all others. Shout out to you, Remy, and hope your recovery is going well. And Remy followed this training. From what I recall, he was a minute faster over the 10K than Kylian was. So he came into this race feeling very confident he'd be able to perform. But one of the challenges in training for a race like this, he said it took about 2 weeks to recover from that session. And losing 2 weeks of good training is it's a risk, and that's one of the challenges of the Golden Trail Series. You have 8 races across this season. Your top 3 races score. But each time you race, not only do you have to taper, you have to reduce your training load in the week leading up to that race, but then you need time to recover as well. And so every time you race, you actually lose fitness, you lose sharpness. And so one of the challenges of this series is deciding which races you should concentrate on to not only maximize your scoring, but to ensure you can maintain your fitness throughout the season. And we've seen this in previous years. Patrick Ipangino 2 years ago, winning in Asia the first 2 races of the season. This year, he won in Kobe again, and he's really struggled to put together a complete season, peaking at the end of in the finals. Runners like El Hussein, who we expect will be featuring a bit later in this race, currently sat in 4th and 5th. He sometimes had the complete reverse. He started very slowly, and then when mid-season has hit, traveling to America, he's been extremely dominant, winning there. But this season, he's changed something in his training. The fact he's managed to win 3 races already, coming into to this stage of the season, meant he didn't even have to run in Austria. He doesn't actually need to run here today to ensure he goes into the final with perfect points, but he wants to perform at Sierre-Zinal. It's the biggest trail race in the world. And one of the wonderful things about Sierre-Zinal is not only does it have the best trail races on earth here, particularly this distance, but it then brings in all these other sports, and we're seeing that today. We're seeing road runners arrive. We're seeing triathletes like Adrien arrive. And so in terms of the level of this field, there's an independent scoring system called the ITRA score. And Sierre-Zinal, time and time again, has consistently the highest level of runners on its start line. We can compare the 2 forms of both Swiss runners, in fact. To me, Dominic on the right here, he looks a lot more casual. Is there a little bit of fatigue in the gait of Adrien on our left? So Dominic Rolli on the right, more experience in trail running. Adrien Brifford's potentially his first trail race. I can't find many results from him outside of triathlon. But looking a little bit more tired and less fluid over this course. Potentially some fatigue in those legs already. Some slow-mo here. Very relaxed form, striding out. And look at the shoes. I didn't see any lugs, no grip on the bottom of that trainer. It has been extremely warm. Oh no, a drop. Was that a drop there? Or was that a handoff? Caroline Kibatai, leader of the women's race, coming through Chandelin now. Still wanting to see her hands here. Did she drop her nutrition bottle? Could that be the first error from our leader? And this looks like Joylene Chimagine coming through. She's a similar race team she has picked up, you can see there the blue in her right hand, she's picked up. So extremely close now between our top two. We think back, there was over a minute separating first and second. Not anymore. Joylene is the stronger runner, it seems, across the top here. And not only that, she is taking on drink after drink. Is this the first sign of a change of our lead? We're going to get some race splits very soon. But Joylene looks stronger now. She looks like she's got the fire in her belly. And significantly, Joylene has raced here before last year. She knows the course. And she didn't race last week. And third place, Ledro-Trentino. Has she got a team around her? Let's see. Is she going to pick up nutrition here? That was a sponge and water, but not a gel, not a water bottle. She does look hot though. Did you see how many times she was grasping for more liquid? Oh, there we go, there we go. That looks like a Scott teammate there. She knows what she's doing. This is a great sign for her. She's got her nutrition on point. And we are back with our race leader, Caroline Kimitai. And we're just waiting for those race splits to see how far this lead has reduced. Caroline Kimitai coming through the aid station there at Chandelin. But significantly, it looked as if she went for the transition, the pickup of her race bottle, and dropped it and didn't go back. We sometimes see athletes come through aid stations and actually stop. The need to take on liquid is that much, and you can see now how exposed they are on this ridge. They started at 27, 28 degrees Celsius after a 45-minute extremely hot coach journey. They emerge from the trees and they're hit with slight altitude and baking sun. To me, that was a major error, not picking up that water bottle. Not only does it have the liquid and the electrolytes, but also the glycogen, those carbohydrates she'll so desperately need in the second half of this race. Behind her, Joylene Ciponcino and Ledro-Trentino. And there's our split confirmations, down to 54 seconds. Joylene has clawed a fair bit back on this second section now. 54 seconds the lead. And Adrien Briffett has also come through the third checkpoint at Tignusa. He's 1 minute down on the 2 minutes down on Kilian's course record of 2019, 1 minute down on Kilian's course record last year. The reason we're quoting those two is because while the finish time was only 2 seconds difference between Kilian's 2019 and 2024 course record, he actually raced those significantly differently. In 2019, Kilian went out far more aggressively with the course record in mind, and that really caught up with him at the second half of the race. Whereas last year, with Filimon on his tail, actually overtaking him towards the end of the race, Kilian had to shift gear. And so Adrien currently a minute down on the course record that Kilian set last year. But there you can see the gaps. And I don't think that tracker is actually true. Caroline at the last aid station was around 54 seconds up. And Joylene and Laura were far closer together. I think our GPS trackers are slightly off there. Caroline's still looking fairly relaxed though, and very differing styles you can see there. Joylene now on picture. Far more powerful runner. Joylene very much more smooth in her running gait, not lifting her legs quite as much, but still looking fairly relaxed here. Doesn't look like she's too tired, but to me it does look like Joylene is attacking this a little bit more, attacking these climbs still. And we talked about coming out at Ponchette and how there's still 500-600 meter climbing left. And this is one of the traps of the course. It feels like, oh, she's high-fiving. It's great to see. And we're going to hear from Caroline quite soon to hear about her experience so far. But that's one of the elements I love about trail running. Team Run Together a few days ago went out with a run of the local school children, talked to them about how to trail run, inspired them, and that's what's so great. But she's looking back already. Again, not a great sign. Could be a sign of unconfidence, of fatigue. The more experienced you are at running on courses like this, you wait until you have a corner that naturally allows you to look back. So your competition don't know that you're worried about them. Another look again, double look. Wow, wow, where has Joylene come from? The tracker wasn't wrong. We thought she looked stronger, but has Caroline fallen apart, or has Joylene just put her foot on the gas? Look at the difference there. She didn't want Caroline to follow her. She intentionally overtook, and how lucky is she to have those two runners in between blocking the way. A devastating move by Joylene. She has tracked back a minute and 40, then a minute and 20, 54 seconds from the last aid station. What a change that is.
First participation, ladies and gentlemen, in the Golden Trail World Series, Caroline Kimutai.
She won her first Golden Trail in China. It was her first experience outside Kenya, so it was quite amazing, and it brought her directly to in the light.
Caroline Kimutai has opened up a little bit of a gap over Great Britain's Nemi Lang.
I don't know if I will try to run trails runners again, if all trails like this.
Do you know something about Sierre-Zinal?
No. It's my first time to go to Sierre-Zinal. Tomorrow I will try my best. Next week I will try. I will try again. I will never give up to try. I will start trying.
Now she will have to prove herself and me and everyone who she truly is.
When you are going to fight, you have to fight until the last minute.
And significantly, they're regrouped. They're working together. It did look like Joylene was going to try and make a break and blast past her, but they are running side by side. What a battle this is going to be. Behind them, though, we've got our race splits from the ladies. They are lining up. Ledro-Trentino around a minute and 30 back. Maud Mathis, 30 seconds behind her. Madalina Ferreira from Romania, running with Maud, it seems. But we are back with our men's leader, the triathlete from Switzerland, Adrien Brifford, still in the lead. A great performance from him so far. He came through the last checkpoint 1 minute and 13 up on the chase group of Filimon Kiriago, winner 2 years ago, and Timothy Kibet. So again, Adrien not losing that much time across the top here. He doesn't seem to be flagging. And look, he does have nutrition in his hands. A great performance from him. Now, significantly from that last video, Caroline said she didn't know anything about Sierre-Zinal. And that's one of the big changes we've seen with the approach of the Kenyan teams to Sierre-Zinal. Previously, we'd have athletes turn up and they'd come here and they had the speed, they'd race, and they'd come unstuck because they didn't know anything. But I think what is different about last year and this year is, while Caroline has not raced here before, the organisation of the Kenyan teams, of Team Run Together and Milimani runners, who Joylene and Caroline are both in, they started to prepare the athletes far better. And we saw that last year when Joylene Chipengino turned up, almost a finished athlete, which I'd never seen before at Sierre-Zinal. She paced it well, she had a nutrition on point, but not only that, she knew how to run technical downhill. And so while Caroline has come in here saying she doesn't know this course, she will have been prepped. She will have been told what nutrition to take and also how to race this. But now we are with our third place runner. This looks like Timothy Kibet to me. Or is this Patrick Kipagino, in fact? In third place now. Apologies, I'm struggling to read the number. It is Patrick Kipagino with El Hassid also in tow. We've mentioned this is a race of two halves. Significantly, Patrick Kipagino was leading here 2 years ago. He is second in our series overall. And El Hassid El Azoui, the flying camel from Morocco. 3 wins so far this year, winner of last year's series. He likes to follow on the shoulder of runners, but he's learned recently from Patrick, I believe, that you don't need to start quite as aggressively. He's come undone here. Every year he's ever raced, he's yet to even finish in the top 40 overall. And the fact he's still in the hunt suggests maybe he's got his pace right today. Now coming through our last checkpoint. And we're just getting confirmations here. So El Hassid outside of the top 5 still. Patrick now in second. Surely not. So Patrick has overtaken Filimon Kiriago, who we know is the faster runner across the top. I mean, to be fair to Filimon, it's Hotel Weisshorn, the last third, where Filimon really unleashes his raw pace. So Patrick, the world's best climber, the VK champion, using that strength to great effect currently. So the race splits in our men's. Adrien Brifford still in the lead. in 1:25, our last checkpoint, so 10 minutes ago. Filimon Kiriago in second 10 minutes ago. At that point, he was 25 seconds up on Timothy Kibet. Patrick was another 20 seconds behind in fourth. So I just want to get those confirmation of that second, third and fourth place, because it really would surprise me if Patrick has managed to catch up 45 seconds in the last 10 minutes of running. It's possible, but I'd just be surprised if both Filimon and Timothy have slowed down the pace that much. In fifth place was Dominic Rowley in 1:27, 2 minutes down on lead. Josfat Kiprotich, our early leader, in sixth place. And in seventh place, the Flying Camel, 2:35 down in the overall lead. 1 minute 10 behind the chase group. Elisine, the fastest finisher of these, of the top 10. Although Filimon on this course, we're yet to see Elisine be faster than Filimon on this course. But we're now behind. This looks like Filimon to me. Yes, and confirmation. Filimon is still in second place. Looking very relaxed, and actually the running style of Filimon reminds me of Joylene. Both very strong runners, and that's often what it takes to be the faster downhill. We see often the lighter runners, good climbers. If you look at the framework of people like Remy Bonnet, Maud Mathis, Patrick Kimingino, very capable of climbing without putting too much stress on the body. Someone like Filimon and Joylene, far more powerful runners that once they're at the top, they can unleash the strength on the downhill. Beautiful scenes here. You can see the Matterhorn. It's known as the race of the 5 4,000ers. 4,478 meters there, the Matterhorn in the distance. They'll be able to see that now. And again, look how exposed these trails are. The heat is baking down on them. Just waiting for confirmation of who we're following here in the yellow. Not one of our race favourites. I believe this is the cyclist who's tracking the women's race there. And it's this Filimon we see coming through. Beautiful drone shot there. Right turn. And if you want to see the closing speed of Elisine, we got a glimpse of it there. That was the 5K time trial from 2 years ago. Madalena Freire, also an extremely fast runner. Our finals is split in two. You have the prologue, 100 points, and then 2 days later, the final 300 points. So 400 points on offer at our series final. Double the points of Sierre-Zinal. And going into that race with the point system as they are, any of our top 5 could win the overall series. Again, it looks like Joylene has broken now that the climbing is over, the smoother running. Joylene Chipingino, last year's winner, it looks like has made a massive break on Caroline Kimitai. Again, picking up a whole new bottle of water. 500 milliliters there, absolutely essential. She won our final last year, and significantly you can see that she won Mont Blanc Marathon a few weeks ago. She is experienced at marathon distance. But you can see there she's looking very strong, and that would have been her first marathon, Mont Blanc marathon. A lot of elevation, a lot more descent as well, and significantly there are 2 big climbs and 2 big descents. So, you know, her legs are weathered for this type of downhill. And she finished that race ahead of some fantastic runners. Sophia Lockley, series champion 2 years ago. Judith Weider in 2nd place there. So we know that Joylene not only has the pace, but she's managed to deliver in one of the biggest races in the world against some very, very able athletes.
Numéro 201, première.
We're with our 2 climbers here. This doesn't look to be Filimon to me. This looks more like Josvat Kipricic in his taller runner, the body, the different running style there. But they're coming up to the final climbs now. They're approaching Hotel Weisshorn soon. Almost the highest point on our course, where the course does flatten out significantly before we get to Nava. 2,400 meters, the highest point on our course. Not significant altitude, but enough that if you haven't been taking on liquid well enough, it will be dehydrating for you. But look at the valley here. And we're back with Joylene Cipangino now, leader of our race. Looking incredibly strong. Very fluid running. And it's time for a few race splits to let you know how we're tracking compared to previous years. And we're back with our leader, Adrien Brifford, leading the men's. Only 40 minutes left to go in this race. Very soon he'll be finishing his climb. It may not look like it, but he is still climbing currently. Before we'll get an insight into what his downhill speed is like. Has he saved his legs? And this is the famous Hotel Weisshorn we can see in our sights now. Huge amount of tradition linked to Hotel Weisshorn. And you can see why this is such a good course for our road runners, our marathoners. It absolutely opens up across the top. The huge contrast between this race and last week. But still some climbing to go.
One of the things we are basing our training and our races is a heart rate training zone. My name is Sylvain Cachard. I'm a professional trail runner for Hoka. There are 5 different training zones, which go from really easy intensity to really hard intensity, and allows us to monitor our effort. The first 2 zones are below the first threshold, and it's really easy to train in it. Then the third zone is more or less the Golden Trail World Series intensity effort, like the target effort, which we can handle maybe between 2 to 3 or 4 hours. Then the fourth zone is the one more or less called the second threshold or threshold intervals. And then the fifth is super hard, the VO2 max, the maximum intensity we can handle. When we are racing, we are not always in zone 3. Sometimes in downhill, even if the intensity is really high, like the heart rate goes a bit down, and so we are somehow a bit in zone 2. And at the top of some climb, or maybe at the start or at the finish, if we have to battle for, I don't know, podium or top 5 position, we go a bit in the threshold zone, so in zone 4, but never in zone 5, otherwise we would be dead.
And we're back now with our chasing group. In fact, they have regrouped together. Filimon Kiriego at the back there. Timothy Cabet with him, and we are also looking at Miao Yao, 4th here last year. Incredibly good distance trail runner. She's got experience of marathons, OCC. She will be pacing this well today. It wouldn't surprise me if she starts to pick up some places through the field. And just to confirm the splits through at 1:40, Joylene had built a 20-second lead over Caroline Kimutai. Laura Hottenrott, 2 minutes 30 behind, with Madalena Faria chasing her 18 seconds down, and confirmation on our screen there. You can see how close this race is now. Although this is, if you look at the difference in our climb there, Maud Mathis, the fastest climber on this course, but not in the form she's been of yesteryear. But we're back with Joylene Cimagino. She had a 20-second lead at the last checkpoint when she came through Tignusa. Around an hour left of this race. You can see that the climbing almost done now. Now, Joylene, when she, picking up the story, we talked of her transformation last year from being a mother to having to provide for her children. She decided she would try running tried steeplechase and realized actually trail was a better avenue, giving more opportunities for Kenyan runners now. And so, and this looks to me to be Madalena Faria's running style on the right there. And we are with Uria Liachi, the local runner, a very good road runner who switched to trail last year. Hasn't been on the circuit quite as much this year, but was hoping for good things in today's race. But Madalena Faria now making the overtake, pacing things extremely well. Does this mean that Madalena's now up to third potentially, or was that Susanna Sapunki on her shoulder? Just waiting for confirmation of that, because there were big gaps around Madalena Faria last time we had the checkpoints. And so just waiting for confirmation of whether she has indeed caught Laura Hottenrott.
Attention! Merci.
And it looks from the split timings that Madalena Faria is now up to third place, but still 3 minutes down on Caroline Kimutai and Julian Cipangino. So unless Caroline or Julian have gone out way too fast, it's going to be tricky for Madalena to get. Series champion in third place in this race. And that is not Patrick Cipangino. That is not his style of running. But we are now with Adrien Brifford, the leader of our race, still 1 minute and 20 up at Tignusa. 1 hour, less than 1 hour at our last checkpoint, but he is now sight inside of the finish fairly soon. Half an hour to go until the end of the race.
Bonne course.
File 26, de ce que je vois, le deuxième est en train de revenir sur Quentin à 20 mètres.
Second man's on screen. This looks like Filimon Kiriege to me. An hour, 1 minute and 30 down at the last checkpoint. In fact, they've just come through Hoto Weisshorn checkpoint. We've got updates. Significantly, the time has reduced to now 1 minute between our race leader and third place. And Katie Scheid on screen. Wow, 6th place. What a performance from her. It's not often we're graced with UTMB royalty, but Katie Scheid, winner of UTMB, winner of Western States. There are very few people who've managed to perform at ultra and sub-ultra so successfully. This, to my knowledge, is the first time she's been in the Golden Trail. She has been doing cross-country all winter, though. So clearly she's got some pace in her legs and strength. And this is what I love about trail. You often get people changing disciplines. The excitement of Sierre-Zinal, the fact it is the biggest trail race in the world, drags in a lot of people, but 6th place, who would have predicted that? A great performance so far. And now Madalena Faria on screen in third place. Slowly picking through the field, still looking strong. Although she may have dropped back to 4th. That looks like 3rd and 4th place now together.
25, il y a le 1 qui arrive sur le premier dépassement.
And Filimon Kiriago now in the hunt. And this, in fact, this is the overtake. How has this happened so quickly? There was a minute at the last split, and it looks now like Filimon has made the pass. He has just chewed up that ground. Adrien Brifford really struggling now, and we saw this 2 years ago at a similar point when he overtook Patrick before the big downhill. We saw him catch Kylian Jornet, the greatest of all time Sierre-Zinal runner. But to do it at this stage, the downhill running has just begun, and look at the difference there. You can see Filimon attacking those downhills. Adrien having to sit back a bit. And this is one of the difficulties in switching from triathlon into trail. If you haven't had practice, your muscles aren't ready, your eyes aren't used to the speed that you have to flow through them. But already a significant gap there between Filimon Kiriago in 1st place now and Adrien Brifford from Switzerland. And it wouldn't surprise me if it's not long before we see the other runners, Patrick Kipagino, Timothy Cabet. There's a whole heap of athletes just off his shoulder. What a move from Filimon. He must be feeling great now. To me, the only person that could potentially stop him is Elassine Elazoui. But he was 2 minutes down at the last checkpoint, maybe even more. And I can't see Elassine being able to catch up as fast as he is 2 minutes over this course. But we've seen it time and time again. We saw it with Josefat Kiprotich last year. We saw it with Madalena Florea the year before. Our early leaders going out too fast. And in the heat and the deceptive distance, struggling to be able to close out this race. But further back in our ladies, we've seen some of our top 10, just to confirm. At the last checkpoint, at 1:41, Joylene was leading. Caroline Kimitai in 2nd. Laura Hottenrotz and Madalena Florea currently battling for 3rd. Maud Mathis in 5th. And it looks like Katie Scheid is on the mark. She was in 7th previously, but is now up to 6th. Aurea Leachi in 8th, Miao Yao in 9th, and Christina Simeon in 10th. Susanna Sapunki in 7th place. Looks like she was recently overtaken by Katie Scheid. But we're back with Adrien. I mean, he is still flowing. I mean, even though we've discounted his ability to win this, he's still moving at a tremendous pace. But the fact that we can no longer see Filimon in the distance just shows you how much of a gear change Filimon has done. Now there's still plenty of running left to be had. And as expected, another overtake. The fear is now that Adrien will just shed places. Around 25 minutes left of racing, maybe more for him, half an hour for him now if he's slowing up. If he can hold on to this runner. Timothy Cabet now coming through into 2nd place. Let's do a quick spot check of what that's doing to our overall rankings. As things stand, if Filimon wins this race, he'll be up into second place, joint second place in our overall series, coming into our finals, joint with his compatriot, his older brother of sorts, Patrick Ibigino. Timothy Cobbett backing up last week's win, currently in second place now, which will bring him up to 4th place in the series. 4th place in the series. What a fortnight he is having. But look how smooth Filimon looks running across these trails. Now, if you're new to trail running, Sierre-Zinal is the smoothest race in our series. And the real excitement for me comes with the downhills. That's what separates trail running from any other form of running in my mind. Seeing the speed at which Filimon will cover this terrain as he starts to get to the steeper descents it's something to behold. But if you haven't had a chance, go and look at last week's recap, last week's race in Austria. The rain came down. They had to crop the top of the course. In fact, the rain was so bad that we wondered where Patrick Ibigino was throughout a lot of the race. He stayed in the tent until the race began because it was too cold, and only once the gun went did he then leave the tent and start running at the back of the pack. But look how close they are now, 1st and 2nd. Timothy Cobbett still with Filimon in his sights. We saw last week Filimon really struggled with his race management in the rain. He was being caught. He was far slower in the last third of the race, but it doesn't seem that is a problem today, and it could be without the destruction that the brutalness of last week's downhill has had, that he still has good running legs. But significantly, Filimon Kiriego, our race leader, did not race last week. He's come into this race with fresh legs, and he has focused all of his training since Noli on performing well here, and boy is he delivering. And we're now seeing Joylene on our screen as well. Very relaxed still coming up that climb. It won't be long now until she hits our peak. 11 kilometers to go. Just about to pass Hotel Weisshorn. We can see in the distance there. One of the challenges picking through the other runners, and you may be wondering why there are quite a few athletes ahead of them, and that's partly because of the way Sierre-Zinal works. Because it's single track, they limit the number of runners each year to, well, I say limit, 6,500 runners who get up early and race before our elites hit the course. And so we will see some of the athletes towards the end of the race.
Very nervous, very scared. Long climb, very hot, pretty much a never-ending climb. And when they say it's flat, it's not flat at the top. So I'm pretty prepared mentally, I think, for it to not be easy at all. I mean, I've got to try, so why not? At Sierre-Zinal. Yeah, I mean, the history is crazy. That's the whole reason I'm going, is to see what that's all about. I'm really excited for the event as a whole. The course, I'm nervous for, but the event's gonna be really cool.
Happy? Eh? Go! You're doing a good race, eh? Okay. Go, 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 go.
But look at our sprint section there. Nice little bit of fun there to get a sense of who's moving quickest over the top there. Michael Scioli, great performance from him, and actually surprised there that Patrick Gipagino has run so well. We'd normally expect Filimon to be the faster runner, more speed in his legs, but the fact that Patrick and Michael have done so well there shows they've maybe paced this slightly better, but Filimon won't care about that now. Leading is all he cares about. Winning this race is what he's set his sights on. And we're currently sat behind our third place run, I believe. Third place now of Adrien Brifford.
Euh, 27, ouais, c'est le 4e. Il vient de se faire doubler par un Kenyan qui est passé de 3.
Sierre-Zinal is now in its 53rd year, and so many running greats have delivered here. And one of the joys of this race is being able to often speak to some of the previous winners who still come out and force and still race it. For those of you who don't know the name, Pablo Vigil, a former champion. I think he's won 4 years here in the past. And he was saying how, for American runners, Sierre-Zinal was really the one chance they got to win some money. It was the highest profile race at a time when there weren't really high profile trail races and they were being forced into running marathons. And he said when he came out here, it was just almost like on another level of exposure, of media. But one of the challenges was, while the course reputation was high, didn't mean they quite had the logistics they've got set up now, and so you'd often have to be battling with cows. He said that the helicopters they used to film them would blow up this dust into their mouths, making it extremely hard to see, but also even to breathe. And if you get a chance, go and look through some of the records of Sierre-Zinal to see some of the very impressive names on there who've not only gone on to greater things in trail, but also have dominated road racing simultaneously. But we're here with Caroline Kimutai, currently sat in second place in our overall standings. And we have a split confirmation in our men's as well. They've just come through Barnusa. 2 hours and 10 into it. As it stands, Filimon has a 30-second lead over his teammate, Patrick Cabagino. Around 25 seconds back. Michael Scioli, we saw the split of the sprint across the top. A great performance from him, catching up to third. And Adrien now, sadly, has dropped to fourth place. He's a minute and 30 down on the overall lead. It just shows how much of an impact good pacing and nutrition can have. But we're currently tracking Caroline Kimutai. Sat in second place. She's around a minute and 15 back on first place from Joylene Chimagino. Laura Hottenrott still in third, around 2 minutes behind her. But look at those slopes. The area is known for its trail as much as it is for the opportunity to ski here as well. And one of the wonderful and almost oddities of this area is that not only, as you can see, do you have snow in the background, but it has its own microclimate. Sierre, where the race started, it's only 500 meters above sea level, and it actually averages 300 days a year of sunshine. So it's known as the Sunshine City. So when we talk about how hot this race has been, that's because it starts in the Sunshine City, 28 degrees, 27 degrees at the beginning of this race. And we can now see the front of our men's who started, in fact, not the front of it, we can now see the middle of our men's catching up with some of our female runners. And that dire need to keep on refueling.
Je reviens avec la première, vous avez mes images?
But we're here now with Joylene Chipangino. A great performance from her. Still doesn't think she's got it won, still looking back. And this is one of the differences that having combined starts can be. It makes it a lot harder to actually know where your opposition is. Most of our races, the women start first, and that does mean that it's far easier to understand where your opponents are, but also they tend to be the first through the aid stations, and so it means that their coaches, all of the people there for their nutrition, are solely focused on their race splits. And so quite often when there are commingled start lines, we find that the runners, the female runners, don't get quite as many updates. They're not able to understand what the splits are or see easily where their opposition are, and it makes it a lot harder to know how hard to push to keep your position. But we're here with our third place runner now, Adrien Brifford. An incredible debut from her. Sorry. Ledro-Trentino. An incredible performance from her.
Je suis stable pendant 2 minutes là.
She's finished 4th in the VK World Championships before in 2023. So not new to trail, but looking at her performances, it doesn't seem she's got quite as much experience at the downhills as she does as the up. No, it does seem there has been a slight changing of the guard recently in terms of the continents winning Sierre-Zinal. Particularly in the men's, the dominance of Kylian Jornet winning 10, and then when he's finally beaten in 2022, it's by a compatriot, Dent Blanche. And in fact, if we think back before Filimon's performance, other than Petru Mamu from Eritrea, who won in 2016, there really haven't been any African winners of Sierre-Zinal before, and it's only been recently that they've managed to put together complete performances.
Come on, come on.
And we're here with Madalena Faria in 5th now, and you can see there are significant gaps throughout the women's field. Madalena Faria leading the overall series in 5th, ahead of her Maud Mathis. She's about a minute up on Katie Scheid, UTMB winner. You suspect Katie's got some good stamina in her legs, and will, I mean, a top 5 finish for her would be a sensational debut. Now you can see this is how Joylene sees that lead, demolishing the top of that course. And Madalena, the very, very fast runner, she arrived here leading for the first third of the race 2 years ago, but has really had to learn how to pace, but also she had a lot of stomach issues, and so wasn't able to properly take on fluid and nutrition to ensure she could run well through to the end of the race. So the fact she's in 3rd there on the sprint section across the top, really impressive stuff. Now we talk about the slight change in their guard, seeing a far more Kenyan runners now performing well at Sierre-Zinal. In the women's, it's a slightly different story. Maud Mathis very much dominating the 2020s, winning 4 times, 2019, 2020, 21 and 22. But prior to that, Lucy Wambui Murigi, 3 times winner from Kenya. And for me, she really started the trail running revolution, particularly in the women of Kenya. And consistently, she's returned to this race, bringing people with her, training them up, educating them into what it takes to actually perform in trail. And that looks like Bogdan Damian from the running style behind Joylene. If it is, that is good news for Joylene, because Bogdan Damian from Romania are very capable downhill technical specialists. And while these trails are smooth, as we get closer to the town and the finish, it does become more technical, which is where Kylian Jornet managed to make a break on Filimon. If she has Damien around her, Bogdan Damien, he'll be able to just step ahead and show her the route to check and the route to take, which will just make it a lot easier for her to flow through a tricky section. But thinking back to last year, in a similar way, we had questions about Adrien Brifford and his performance today, whether he'd be able to run on downhills well and flow through technical terrain. The same questions were here about Joylene, and I don't remember any issues at all with her running ability. And this is one thing they're having to really address with teams Run Together and Millimani runners is how to prepare their athletes over more technical terrain when in places like E10 and a lot of the regions where the athletes train in Kenya, it's just not as rocky. It tends to be more clay-based, mud-based soil, and so it's very hard to understand how difficult it can be to run over terrain that, as we can see here, moored flowing through that, where you're constantly having to change your stride length. You're putting impact through your quads in different ways, and actually it's not just your muscles, it's your tendons having to work as you move slightly from side to side. And they've had to really focus specifically on ensuring their athletes are capable of running over this European, American-style rocky terrain. Now, if we look ahead to our final, we're going to be in Italy, near Lake Garda, some beautiful scenery, so altitude won't be a factor. There will be 2 days of racing, the prologue followed by the main race 2 days later. And the men and the women's races are split, so we can bring live footage of the men's and the women's separately. And one of the joys is being able to see teammates support with nutrition as the men come through and the women come through. The huge amount of friendship and camaraderie between the countries and the teams and the athletes. Significantly, Joylene won last year's final. In her debut season, she'd only run Sierre-Zinal prior to that. And they've changed the rules to try and ensure that it's fairer, because Joylene tactically didn't race the prologue. It was in a very wet conditions, and so a lot of the athletes were going into the final on tired legs. And Joylene cleverly only raced that final and won quite comfortably. So this year they have changed the rules that if you're in the finals, you have to run both the prologue and the final race. Now, if you didn't see last week's race, I was talking about it a little bit earlier, how much of a difference, and we can see how hot an individual is stopping to fill up his water from the stream. It gives you an insight into just how much the temperature is making a difference in this race. Although Joylene looks as cool as a cucumber right now. And Caroline still looking very fluid, actually. I was wondering whether she'd be on the climb and elements of this sprint over the top. She didn't seem to have quite the speed that she seemed to have in the race in China, but she's still looking very fluid now. And the fact the gaps aren't significantly reducing between her and Laura Hottenrod in third shows that she's still running well. Now, if you haven't had a chance to see last week's race, do go back and watch it. It is a masterclass in downhill running by Naomi Lang, British fell running champ. They had to cut the top of the race because there were thunderstorms, and the mud and the level of switchbacks meant you had to attack with real aggression not to fall over. And if you want to see why we love trail running, and you get a sense here of how just even this downhill has changed the body form of Caroline there. Seeing Naomi Lang run on downhill is one of the most joyful things for me you can do in this world. So go out there and watch it. It's on YouTube. There are you can watch the stream back on most television networks as well.
Avec les Kenyans. Et mesdames et messieurs, dans quelques instants, le Kenya sera à l'honneur de cette 52e édition de la course des 54 000 avec en tête Filimon Kiriago. 2h27-38, c'est son temps de référence à 300 mètres de la ligne d'arrivée. Et il est seul en tête, il est seul. Il va venir s'imposer sur la course des 54 000 après 31 km. Vice-champion du monde de course de montagne 2023, vainqueur de Sierre-Zinal 2023. Mesdames et messieurs, faites du bruit pour le Kenya avec le dossard numéro 1,
And here he comes through, Filimon Kiriago, winning for the second time in 2 years. Apologies, we had some technical difficulties there. And Patrick Kipagino, his team running mate. They're going to finish together. Oh, this is beautiful. In fact, no, apologies, I've lost some of my vision from before. What a performance from 1, 2, 3 for Kenya. 1, 2, 3 for team run together. Michael Sioli coming through for third there. But it just shows how mature a performance that was. Patrick wasn't in the top 5 for a long way in that race. And beautiful to see the joy he's sharing in Filimon's win. But not even a 1, 2, 3 for Kenya, a 1, 2, 3 for team run together. Incredible by them. And I believe a first top 3 for Michael Sioli. Welcome to the podium, my friends. Coming through for 4th place. A terrific performance from Adrien Brifford. The Swiss triathlete. He went out hard, but he didn't let his head drop. And he's enjoying these crowds now. A great debut from him. 4th in his first Golden Trail. Not moving quite as fluidly as the other runners. There's some fatigue in there, but he can enjoy this now. He's really earned that 4th place. And this is one of the joys of Sierre-Zinal. The opportunity for road runners, for triathletes to come and get a taste of what trail running is like. But as Adrien has found out today, it can be pretty tough. But a brilliant all-round performance from him, clearly showing his experience to be able to get to the finish line, still running strong. And 4th place in your debut Sierre-Zinal is something to be extremely proud of.
2:32:06 pour l'athlète, pour le Suisse du team athlète Adrien. Le Vaudois, quelle course!
And we're now working in our 5th athlete to the finish line. Paul Machoka, I believe. Paul Machoka from Athletica Salazar. Teammate of Joyce Njiru, winner of last year's series. Please, please out of the way of our tired runners. Paul Machoka, a great performance from him, and actually we've spoken about Milan runners, we've spoken about Team Run Together, but the Italian-based team Athletica Salazar also pumping out some great athletes. Kevin Cabet in the past, and we're now looking at Martin Nilsson coming through from Switzerland. I suspect, given his sponsor VJ, he is an orienteer as well. Delighted to be running well here. 6th place for Martin Nilsson. Look at the joy in his face there.
Et pour la Suisse, il est dans les derniers mètres. Le Bernois du team Salon, Dominique.
And joining us soon, Dominique Rolli. Top 10 last week. Top 5 at one point in this race. Just coming through the finish line there. The Swiss Salomon runner. I think he'll still be delighted with a top 7 here, given the depth of the field. And just to confirm, apologies, my screen was frozen when Filimon finished, but he finished in a time of 2:28:45. And Elisina Lazoui, still looking fluid, but clearly not the day that he was hoping for. But still, the best performance he's had in Sierre-Zinal. What is it about this course that he just doesn't seem to be able to pull it together for?
Victoria Anti à l'arrivée, on peut les applaudir. Delia Cretol, également Mélanie Gonzalo.
But Elisina coming for 8th, potentially 9th, depending on where Dent Blanche, I believe, is tracking him soon. But still, Elisina, the main thing is he's looking healthy. He'll be okay with this result. He takes 600 points into the final. Perfect 3 wins in 3 races that qualify. And while he'd want to win this race, I think he also knows that not being in the top 3 today is certainly not going to be a reflection of where he is in his fitness or his ability to perform in the finals. But significantly for him, Filimon Kiriego winning today means that he's clawed back a few points, and now Patrick Kipagino and Filimon are both tied in 2nd place, just 12 points behind Elisina. And just had confirmation, Adrien Blanche has indeed finished. We can see him on the left there in the pink and the orange, the Spanish, what do we call him? Orienteer, Olympian, steeplechaser. 8th for Adrien Blanche today. And in 10th place, it looks like Francesco Pupi, the Italian athlete coming through. He's been more focused on ultra distance race recently. I think he's undefeated so far in all racing this season. Francesco Pupi from Italy and Team Hoka coming through for 10th place. He'll be happy with that performance. But now we're back with our women's and still leading. No surprises here. Joylene Cipingino still looking strong. Less than 5K away from the finish. I think the course record is safe this year, but she'll be happy with this performance. After China, where she came second to Caroline Kimutai, in pre-season, I've been seeing training videos where she's been second again for Caroline Kimutai on the track. The fact that she's put together this performance today, she'll be delighted. And it just shows you that it's not always the fastest winner that performs. There's so much that goes into trail running, so many things you've got to get right. But at the last checkpoint, just looking at the splits, they've now come through Barnuza. 86% of the race is finished, and Caroline is only 17 seconds behind Joylene. 17 seconds back, that is nothing. She'll have her in her sight, she'll know where she is. The fact Joylene's been looking back so frequently suggests she also knows this race is on. So we're going to get a real battle towards this finish now. In 3rd place, we saw her there. Maud Mathis now up to 3rd, only 7 seconds ahead of Laura Hottenrott. So there's an almighty battle for 3rd place on our podium. But only 30 seconds behind them is Katie Scheid. If anyone has stamina in their legs, it's Katie Scheid. So not only are we going to see what could be a sprint off for 1st and 2nd place, but there are 3 runners currently in the battle for 3rd place on our podium. It's Switzerland versus Germany versus the USA. Can we see Caroline in the background though? How close is she? But how impressive a performance has this been from Maud Mathis? She's had so many issues over these past 2 years. She had a bone spurt at the back of her foot that she had to get surgeryed off. She was having issues with her shoes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here on the finish line with the winner of the 52 edition of Sierre-Zinal. 2nd win here. Filimon Cariago team run together on trail, and this smile says everything. You have worked so hard to come back, yet last year you were 2nd to Kilian Jornet by just a minute, the 2nd, sorry. You had a plan. Let us know what your plan was, because you didn't want to say it yesterday.
Thank you so much. I have Filimon, Team Land together on. I'm so happy to race Sierre-Zinal again, because my teammates, they have a dream of racing Sierre-Zinal more as possible. So I'm happy to win 2nd time. My target is to win almost 5 times. Then I try to move to maybe UTMP, Sigama. My target is to come 5 times winning in Sierre-Zinal. That's my dream.
Thank you very much.
I mean, No pressure there then. I love that. I love the expectation, the desire, but also the appreciation of how significant a win at Sierre-Zinal is. He's only just won his second and he's already got eyes on 5. I wonder why that number 5. I mean, Maud Mathis on screen now. She has the record of 4 wins in the women's. Kylian Jornet though, he's got 10 under his belt, and here are our top 5. We see that they've already had the bottles open for them. We have had a few issues in the past with the skills on display of their spray.
Congratulations, Chris.
But our top 5 athletes there in the men, just to confirm that, alongside Filimon Kariago, Patrick Kipagino in second, Michael Sayoli in third, Adrien Briffod in fourth, and Paul Machoka in 5th. But we are back with Joylene, only 20 seconds ahead. But as I was saying before, we've seen in trail running, there's often a drag up into ultra races. The stories that capture the imagination. And here's the battle for 3rd and 4th. We said it was going to be close. Ledro-Trentino closing out 6-7 seconds. They're now neck and neck. And this is an unknown territory for these 2 runners. They won't have raced against each other before. Maud is not known for her descending skill. Laura, not an orienteering background. We don't know what she's going to be like over this terrain either, so it's going to be very close between those 2. And Katie Scheid, who is pretty good technically, not far behind. So if they slow down too much, it could be the UTMB winner coming through. But look at Joylene here.
Here we go, here with second place finisher. Here, Patrick Kimino. Patrick, you are the experience, you are the wise man. And we were surprised not to see you at the front at the beginning, but you knew that you would come back later because eventually you came back to Filimon. And so, was it a team race? And did you help each other before getting into the final?
First of all, I want to thank Cold and Rails management. I want to thank my manager, Thomas Krejci, and my teammates, Filimon, Sauli, all run together team. And I want to thank my team in girls, Austria, where we normally train, our camp. I'm very much grateful that I've become position 2 again. Since I started running, I'm now turning 10 years, running good, and I'm much grateful. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Patrick, and we look forward to seeing you at the final in October.
I made a real, Martin alluded to it there, team display. What a performance by Team Run Together. Top 3 there, incredible. I do wonder whether that actually has been their tactic, where in previous races we've seen El Hussein track Patrick more than he's tracked Filimon. And when Filimon tried to build a significant lead in Mexico, El Hussein was content to let Filimon go, tracking Patrick instead, knowing that he's his closest competitor in the points for the overall. So maybe this was actually one of the strategies for Patrick to start a little bit slower, to let Filimon get a nice big lead, and then for Patrick, we saw how quick he was over the top. He's not a runner we'd associate with doing well over that sprint section, but it looked as if he was running a very different strategy to what he's run here in previous years. And maybe that was a team strategy. and it certainly worked today. But we can see Jolie now. I was saying earlier, she was moving very well down that slightly more technical section. She didn't seem to slow up. And this looks like Katie Scheid to me. Western States winner, UTMB winner. And is that Laura just in her view? In fact, is this third through fifth? Can we see right at the top there? Maud Mathis, Laura tucked behind, Katie in fifth place. Wow! We have got less than 2 kilometers to go. 2-3 kilometers. This is going to be an almighty battle for that third place podium. But Jolie doesn't look like she has any concerns at this stage of the race. The chip timing was suggesting that Caroline was, but she's slowing down there. There's a bit of caution. Exactly the moment where Kilian overtook last time. You can see there's a little bit of anxiousness there. I mean, maybe very wise. We did see when Filimon first raced here 3 years ago. He fell on this downhill. Mark Ngogo, the same year, who was later disqualified, fell as well on this slightly more technical section. And the bikes are having as many troubles as the runners. But she's almost through the hard bit now. If she can just get down this last little bit of technical, you can see it starting to smooth out. She'll come through the tunnel, and she'll very soon be able to see the finish line and hear the roars of the crowds. But no look back. She's clearly not too nervous. There's a brief look. You see she used that opportunity to just track back slightly. But she must be starting to taste victory a little bit now. I'm sure the rest of her family and the rest of Millimani runners will be watching this back in Kenya. And Maud Mathis, it was Maud we saw slightly out of shot in third place, but as we could see, less than 5 seconds between her and Laura Hottenrott, and less than 5 seconds between her and Katie Scheid. Katie Scheid, the one though closing the gap. She was 45, 50 seconds back not too long ago. So Katie, at the moment, the faster moving athlete. And you've got to suspect, given that Maud's coming back from injury, and Katie is the 100-mile specialist, it should be Katie with a little bit more left in the tank at this stage. Will the fact that Maud Mathis knows this course help her? She'll know when to attack. She'll know exactly how long is left.
On est à 20 mètres derrière Maud Mathis.
Bravo.
And Katie has now made the overtake. Katie Scheid now up to fourth. We can see the bike of Maud ahead, the camera cyclist just behind her. This is super close. And Katie will feel very at home on these trails. I mean, Maud is from Switzerland, but Katie lives in France, in Chamonix. She's been training on the UTMB course time and time again, and she's starting to close the gap now. This is really getting tight for our finish. For reference, course record 2:48. That is how close we're getting to our finish now. Less than 2, and it's the overtake Wow! Third place for Katie Scheid. If we think back to some of the all-time great runners, there aren't many athletes who've managed to win the big ultra races and a golden trail. We have to go back to Ruth Cross, winner of Western States and winner of several golden trail races. Is the only athlete I can think who's won like OCC, UTMB in her sights. But it just shows you that the talent that Katie has to be able to race so quickly while she's still training with Ultra in mind. 1K to go now for Joylene Cipollino. She surely must have this race done. We'll only get our next race split coming into the sprint section of the course. We won't know how close Caroline is behind her. If we look at the stats of Joylene, she won this race last year on her debut. She raced the final of the Golden Trail last year, winning that race. And we can see now that there is still clear distance between Caroline and Joylene. But so far this year, Joylene came second in China. She won Mont Blanc. She's winning here today. Can you think of many other athletes who, having never raced a single trail before, have put together those stats? Incredible performance. And you can see her now. She's coming into the town. This is all road from this point in. She's going to turn right. There is a steep descent, and she'll then see the finish as she comes through. Please, cameraman, slightly tilt back to the left. A little bit back to the left, and we can see now that Caroline is definitely out of reach. This is a commanding lead given this point in the race by Joylene. What a performance for her. To think 3 years ago she wasn't even running. This is what happens if you focus with the inspiration of a race like Sierre-Zinal in sight, and our Polish cameraman Damien there, keeping pace for just a few yards. But she came here today with this race in sight. She intentionally did not race last weekend. She wanted this course record, but given the temperature today, that was going to be a tough ask. She wasn't leading from the start. She let Caroline go. She knew she had to pace this to the finish. And as soon as the course opened up, so did Joylene. She won here last year on her debut. 2 wins from 2 at Sierre-Zinal. The winner of this year's race, Joylene Cipollino, an incredible performance. And Caroline Kibatai, she won on her debut in China, in Jingshangliang Trail Half Marathon. She came here today with some question marks about her mental approach, having crumbled in Austria last week. She led out up the hills, but she did not let a little bit of congestion in the finish line, but she did not get her head down and ran incredibly well for second place today. An amazing performance. We saw Run Together dominate the men's, but it is the story of Millimani runners in the women's. First and second place for them. And to think, 18 months ago, or to think a year and 2 days ago, we have never heard the name of these 2 runners in any trail race in the world. What a turnaround by Millimani runners. Congratulations, Julian, their coach. But who will be next coming down this turn? There are 3 runners still in the running. We expect them to be 2 minutes back. Katie Scheid currently leading Maud Mathis and Laura Hottenrott for that 3rd place position. Vincent, the Salomon team manager there, delighted with the performance of his new athlete this season. And we talk about the impact that these races can have. Joylene was unsponsored, won Sierre-Zinal, is now in the international team with Salomon, has transformed the lives of her family back home. Incredibly hard for her to be a lot away from her children who are still back in Kenya for so much time. But she's decided to dedicate herself to winning at Sierre-Zinal, to earning money for her family. And what a performance this has been. 2 from 2 in Sierre-Zinal. And in terms of the overall standing, she's now into the top 10 with 400 points available at the finals. Is this Katie Scheid we're seeing coming through? Wow, no Maud in the background. We knew she was here today, but we didn't really mention her. I thought a top 10 place was going to be possible, maybe a top 5. But to only be 2 minutes behind the race leaders on her debut in Sierre-Zinal. Katie Scheid, the American runner, coming in for 3rd place here. What a performance from her. And if you're wondering whether you should be running cross-country when you're an ultra runner, when you're a trail runner, when you're a marathon runner, yes, you should, because it's cross-country that gets you the speed and the strength that Katie Scheid is displaying here today. An unbelievable performance from her, and you can see the excitement she has from this. I know she'd have backed herself to race well, but I don't believe she'd have in her head come in here thinking that a 3rd place was on the cards. Incredible. 3 minutes down overall on our leader. And Maud Mathis coming through for 4th. Given the end she's had, that will feel like a win for her. Now let's hear from this year's winner. In fact, I believe that interview is coming very soon. But Maud Mathis, we spoke a little bit about her injuries, the fact she had to go through to surgery on her feet. She's been training primarily through cycling for the last 18 months. She tried a return last year. She won in Japan last year and had further injuries. But in 5th place now, is this Aurelia Liacci coming through for 5th? An incredible performance for her, the Swiss runner. She does have a road background, but she wasn't even in our top 7 earlier. And we've talked about pacing and how important it is. The fact that Laura, so close to the finish in 3rd, is now down to 6th. Just shows you how much of a difference a bit of experience on trail and a course like this is. And 5th place for Aurelia Liacci. A very young runner, new to trail last year. A great performance from her. And just as a reminder, this is the highest ranked trail race in the world. If you look at the scores, the performances of the top 30 runners, the top 25 runners, typically in this field, no race comes close. So to come 5th, and Miao Yao coming through now. I believe Laura may have finished. I think our cameramen may have missed Laura Hottenrott, but Miao Yao, the Chinese runner, winner of OCC in the past, winner of CCC, 4th last year. coming through for what I believe is 7th place. But maybe not. We're still waiting for confirmation. Yeah, has been focusing more on ultras recently and the ultra distance. Winner of OCC last year. A solid performance from her. She's been struggling with form. She has had injuries herself through this season. It's so hard to manage. I believe that's a 7th place. In fact, there we go. Just to our left there, that was Laura Hottenrott. An incredible race from the German runner, 6th place. Yao finishing in 7th. And another debutante coming through. Suzanne Sapunki. We haven't mentioned her much yet today. The Finnish runner, looking like she's going to be coming in 8th place. So we do wonder what happened to Madalena Faria. At one point, it looked like Madalena may be the runner that was going to come through for 3rd place. She had alluded to having some difficulties before the finals. Maybe it's caught up a little bit with her today.
La superstar de l'ultra-trail, Katie Scheid, la Valaisanne, la Vaudoise. Eh bien, c'est tout à l'heure, 16h45 avec le show.
You can see Zinal here. Beautiful ski slopes in the distance. And up on the left, you'll see just the glimmer of the tent where our athletes will go for the presentation ceremony. If you haven't done this race before, there's 6,500 people can enter. It's a huge amount, and the weekend itself is such a joy. Everyone goes to the tent tonight for the medal ceremony, and you'll get to experience not just the hospitality of Switzerland, but get to see how some of the Kenyan runners dance. And they're not just good runners, let me just say that. They're not just good runners. And we haven't got pictures of our finish line, but I can confirm that in 8th place, Susanna Sapunki has now crossed the finish line. And a little recap of our men's top 10 as well. We were watching the front of the women's face. But in 6th place was Martin Nilsson, another debutant from Sweden. In 6th place, Dominic Rowe coming through for 7th. Andre Blanes coming through for 8th. Elisine Lazui in 9th and Francesco Pupi in 10th. We're just waiting for our top 5 ceremony for our ladies. And I'm going to do a little bit of calculations to see what that does to our overall rankings. Caroline coming in 2nd. And this is like Anna Gibson coming through now. Made her debut here last year. One of the trail team, Team Brooks, coming through, transitioning out of trail. She is a multi-discipline athlete, a dual contract running track and trail simultaneously, has a very fast 1500 meter time.
Et la voici dans les derniers mètres, dernière ligne droite. Mesdames et messieurs, faites du bruit pour l'américaine qui va venir chercher la 9e place sur 221, Anna Gibson.
Anna Gibson coming through here. And if her boyfriend Red is watching, shout out to the Gibson support crew. In terms of the overall top 10, I can confirm that Caroline Kimitai is now 5th in the overall.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen,
just
on
tucked
the
behind.
finish line of Sierre-Zinal.
But here is our winner.
After the top 3 men, we have our female winner, Joylene Shebgeno. This is the 2nd time you win here in Sierre-Zinal after your first participation last year. I would like to know, because we saw all your race and you did extremely well, but I would like you to know what you want to tell people back home and your children after doing so well in this race.
Okay, thank you. I want to say thank you to the Lord. I was not expecting to win this race. It's only God. I thank you a lot. So I was not expecting. I want to thank my coach, Julian Leon, for preparing me well for the program, and also my teammates, Milmani runners. Thanks a lot for the teamwork we have. And also I want to thank my sponsors, Salomon, for giving me nice shoes for the race. So I'm really, really happy. I see my children now, they are happy, and also my family. I know it will change my family. So I'm happy. Thank you very much.
And we're super happy for you. Congratulations again. You're fantastic.
When's the last time you saw a winner of Sierre-Zinal wearing glitter on their face? Gotta love Joylene. And if you haven't watched last year's final, go back and see her celebrations at the finish line. She grabs a flag, she dances around. And Naomi Lang coming through here. A good performance from her. She's British trail running champion, won last week. She will have pain in her legs, and this is a long race for her. She knew she needed to score here to put her in a good position in the overall. So it would be a race that I suspect she'd have skipped, but she'll be happy with that performance given the competition she was against.
All right, I'm here with Caroline Kimutai here, second place today, and I feel like you had a better race than last weekend. Can you tell us about how the race went for you?
This race today was good for me. I thank God. I thank my coach, my teammates, then my Solomon company, and then I thank them a lot, yeah, for supporting me. Because when it is not because of them, I was not here today. But I need to thank them alone. May God bless them, and then still be together. Yeah. Because I'm happy. I'm happy. Last week it was not good for me, but today I try. Yesterday I said that I will try my best, and then I try my best today. Yeah.
And we saw your best today, second place for your first time in Sierre-Zinal. We look forward to seeing you back again and at the final in October. Thank you so much, Caroline.
You can hear the delight there. I think both of the athletes, Julian and Caroline, had doubts that they could beat each other, in fact. I think that was in the back of their minds. But it seems to be quite a change in sponsorship now. We've seen previously there wouldn't be the support from sponsors for Kenyan running teams. And now, you know, Salomon stepping in and clearly doing quite nicely, picking up first and second place today. I'm just going through some stats and just to see how today's results change the overall. Naomi Lang on screen there, Maud Mathis, former champion. And significantly in the women's, Caroline Kimutai is now up to 5th place overall. Naomi Lang, this result of 11th brings her to 7th overall, and Anna Gibson now up to 9th in the overall standings. So just shows how important it is to have 3 strong races, and choosing the race to actually take part in the season. Naomi had some issues going in injured to our race in Noli, and because of that she was forced to race today, but the fact she's now up to the top 10, now up in 7th, shows that that was a good decision. But confirmation there of our top 5. Julian Chipangelo in the middle. Caroline Kimutai in second on the right. Katie Scheid on her debut in 3rd. Central left, and on far right, Maud Mathis, 4 times winner. And Aurea Liachi, the Swiss runner who debuted last year in trail, in 5th place. Enjoy, ladies. You've given us quite a show today. We'll be back with the final. Now go out there and watch some more trail.
Antonio José Ramirez.
No, our final is taking place in Italy. It won't be at altitude, and the terrain will be quite a mix. Having spoken to the race director, they're looking for a combination of fast and technical. So if you've enjoyed today, wait until you see what these runners can do when you put a few rocks and a little bit more descent in the way. But here's our race recap. And from the start, as with last year, we saw Josvat Kiprcic take to the front before debutant Adrien Brifford, the Swiss triathlete, building quite a healthy lead. Went out to 1 minute 40 at one point. And, but there was always a question mark. Someone new to trail, someone new to the course. Would they be able to maintain that speed? And as soon as they escaped the climbing, it was Filimon Kiriago, winner 2 years ago, that started to look like the favorite. Having said that, he didn't have it all his own way. Behind him, compatriot Patrick Kipagino was catching. But when it came down to it, he timed his race to perfection, winning for the second time in 3 years, now tied in second place with his teammate on screen. Both of them second place in the overall standings going into our final. And Michael Scioli, a great first podium for him. Also running extremely quickly across the top in the sprint section to track back and get that third place. Confirmation there. Shout out to Francesco Pupi, great performance from him as well. But for me, the standout performance is Michael Scioli, Adrien Brifford. Those two to arrive. Michael is stepping up his gear, and Adrien just goes to show the level of the speed and the endurance that triathletes can have. And that's what's great about this race, that you can come here as a fast runner and take on a trail race and still deliver on the global scale. We hope that means they'll come and join us for some more Golden Trail in the future. And this is our overall standings now. Significantly, the big change really is Filimon is now up to joint second with Patrick. And Michael now up to fourth as well. Dominic Rowley into ninth, based off today's performance. And Taylor Stack, I believe, was outside of top 10, but now in sixth place following his fourth last week. And now let's recap the women's as well. They started together, which makes it a little bit harder for our camera runners to be able to capture what happens in the early women's race. Caroline Kimitai taking to the front as we expected. Very, very good climber. Building a reasonable lead as well. Up to about a minute, but as soon as it flattened out a little bit, Joylene Cipingino seized control. At that stage, it looked as if she'd be able to rip apart this field, but even though we can't see Caroline in the background, she never really extended past more than 20 seconds and just maintained that cushion through the descent. At this stage, it was still possible that Caroline could catch her, but even though you can't tell it on screen now, it is Joylene is the better descender. And the story then became the race for third. Lauren Hottenrott, Katie Scheid and Maud Mathis all battling it out for that position. Joylene claimed 2 from 2 in Sierre-Zinal. Caroline her second podium of the year. Teammates from Millimani runners delighted with their performance. And almost, well, not unbelievably, but wow, is there any distance Katie Scheid can't deliver in? UTMB winner, Western States winner, coming through against the 4-time champion to take 3rd place on her debut at Sierre-Zinal. But this is confirmation of our top 10. Welcome back, Maud. May your injury days be behind you. Congratulations, Laura Hottenrott, as well. Debutante here, the German roadrunner. And Susanna Sapunki, another new name in the top 10 there. 2 top 10s for Finland. And let's look what this does to the overall standings. The big changes here. Caroline Kimitai now up to 5th place overall, outside the top 10 to begin with. Naomi Lang also now up to 9th place. And Lauren Gregory there in 6th place, just waiting to confirm her finish time today, but potentially up a few positions now. But that sets us up for our grand final. You've seen how close the men's is. Whoever wins in our finals of this man and our 1st and 2nd place runner today will win overall. This is what we have to look forward to.